They they restarted the town today. This is Boston Bar on the Fraser Canyon, basically all the way up the Fraser River. Um, it's just been a hell of a day again. They have these. There's no people that live here, so they restarted the town this morning. I guess they figured I was on my way, but they've got all these tractor trailers and trucks and things. There's no people. They're not doing anything, but they make a lot of noise. Can you imagine? Actually, I'm not joking. These lunatics have these trucks go around and around and around in circles to make you deaf, to just create noise to make you slowly deaf. It's all just bullshit. All of it. All of it. You should. There was a point earlier that it just sounded like almost an an airplane hangar. It just was so goddamn loud. But they just love to torture you. So wherever you go, they follow you and stalk you and torture you. Um, all I'll say really about the last couple of days, really quickly, I'm in Boston Bar, which is very far up the canyon, which is great. I walked last night to Yale. I walked the whole way all night long. It's about a 23-kilometer walk, but I made it through and got there this morning. And then from there, I walked up to a town called Saddle Rock, and from there, I got a lift. What all I can say is I've now seen some stuff. Oh, listen to this one. Listen to this one coming up here. Listen to it. Way down there. Way down there, if you can see. Way down there. And he's coming. And you know he's coming. They want you to know he's coming. And oh, there's one. Oh, look, there's one there. He wants you to hear him too. But this guy wants you to know he's coming. Boy, and we did. Here he comes. Isn't that outrageous? Isn't that just like a Christmas tree up the front? We've seen that one all over the place, including Hope, so they moved it up here. What I will say is that there is a sign just north of Hope that says Fraser Valley Safety Program, something like that. That this is a safety corridor, and I looked at it. I saw it the first time I saw it. It didn't ring anything yesterday rather, when I saw it. Safety corridor. I thought, oh my God, this is finally it. This is the exit out. Just like East and West Berlin, there's this safety corridor. There's this corridor from from West Berlin. That was, you had East and West Berlin, the city, cut in half. And that was in East Germany. And to get from West Germany to West Berlin safely, there was only one way you could get there, and that was through a corridor, a train corridor. And if you didn't go through that corridor, you couldn't get there. You couldn't leave and you couldn't get there. This is exactly what's happened here. The Fraser Valley, the canyon itself, all the way up, is one corridor. And that corridor leads to Hope, and then Hope leads you down to the Fraser Valley. This safety corridor is just clearly an exit. The Trans-Canada Highway, someone in Prince Edward Island said to me, the Trans-Canada Island Highway must stay open 24 hours a day, 365 a year. So apparently it's mandated. The Trans-Canada Highway, all the things in the last couple of days, the Enchanted Forest, remember we saw in Pokum, the Enchanted Forest, which you entered, and it didn't take you out to Highway 7 or 5, which went north. It took you out secretly to the Trans-Canada Highway. This is what people had to do. They had to flee from wherever they were coming from, like Vancouver or around there, flee east to the end of the Fraser Valley, which is exactly what I did. They would then enter the Enchanted Garden to take you from the Fraser Valley underneath bridges and stuff to the Trans-Canada Highway. Excuse me. once you got to the Trans-Canada Highway, you had to flee north and just keep going and going and going, which is more or less what I'm doing. What's really interesting is I look at the things that are going on in construction and all these things that say death camp in process because they're building walls and gates everywhere. And I look though and I think, well, this safety corridor, it looks like this was the original one that people used during the Great Water Apocalypse in May 2016. But it also looks like there's some fresh paint, and it also looks like it's getting ready for another imprisonment session. Putting everything together, something's going to happen in the Fraser Valley. Why it hasn't happened yet, the date obviously, I don't know the date. I can only guess. It looks to me like September the 8th might be a good hit, or thereabouts. Somewhere in the next couple of days, something's happening because there's just too much activity that's unusual that's saying something's going to happen. I got out of the Fraser Valley, thank God, but I want to get out of here too. Hope is going to be, I mean, it's already in process. They talked about, if you remember, I released a slide talking about a store in Hope got a memo from the Hope municipal office basically saying there's going to be a whole bunch of new arrivals in the next couple of days in early September. Can you help them out? Can you give free coupons? Stuff like that. One of the new arrivals was our security guard who has been harassing and stalking me for 2 nights in a row. Hostile as hell. The guy got out of his car and stood at the opposite side of a train track. It just stood menacingly in front of his car looking at me straight across the train track. Who the hell this guy was? He was out looking for trouble. This guy is one of the new people. Safety guard? Oh, he's not a security guard or a safety guard. He's a goddamn prison guard because all of Hope is now an internment camp. Hope was not part of the original. It's not part of the original city-state of the Fraser Valley. It got added about a year later, and bus service, TransLink bus service to Hope got instated then. Up until that point, Hope was free. That's why people could get to the Trans-Canada Highway from Pokum and go all the way up to Hope and then all the way up free. They can't do that now. That enchanted garden isn't really helpful because the Trans-Canada Highway, for all intents and purposes, is controlled by the city police, not so much the free police, because they are controlling traffic flow, they are controlling whether people get on or off, they are illegally closing it off. There's a sign that we saw that would be used for that. It seems like the whole Fraser Valley and the canyon, you just get out of it. Hope itself, do not go to Hope under any circumstance because you might not get out. It is being readied for an internment camp. The only way into it is through the Trans-Canada Highway, maybe one other highway, through mountains. So basically the entrance and exit can be controlled easily from a mountain top looking down at the one roadway. There's a bridge on the northwest side that takes you up towards the canyon here in the Trans-Canada Highway. That bridge can easily be shut off or just bombed. If you're in Hope and someone wants to restrain you, you have no hope of getting out. So, pardon the pun, it's just set up ideally as a prison. If something happens over the next couple of days, do not ever go to Hope. Avoid it under all circumstances because you might not leave. What I'm looking at is there's a woman who stopped in the middle of the night and gave me some change to buy coffee, but she said, "So how did you end up here?" And it was a question that was interesting because it sounded like she was trapped. And I think she was. My sense is when something happens earthquake-wise, whoever is in this Fraser Valley is going to naturally go towards Hope because that's how the highways are set up. And you would go east and you would, at the Trans-Canada Highway, they would be walking right into their own internment camp and they wouldn't even know. It's what they're doing. It's a very cynical ploy to get all the homeless and all the rubby-dubs and people they just don't like and put them in an internment camp and they won't have any idea. It will be sold that this is, shelter, and they can stay in like a, a community center and get food and stuff while this horrible natural disaster hit the Fraser Valley. And well, it could take months or even over a year for you to get resettled again. But at least now and hope you got a place to live and you got some food. Meanwhile, they're in a goddamn in prison in camp and they don't even know it, just like they were lying to me all along. I just see a lot of things going on that are very negative, that show almost genocide is going to occur again, that these internment camps are not really just internment camps, they're death camps. I just see fascism going haywire as it normally does, and this is no different at all. They're not rewriting history. There's no new book here. They're just redoing what fascism always does, which is just intern people that they don't like and murder them. That's what's happening with me, and I'm trying to get the hell out. I'm trying to get the hell out as fast as I can because this place is going to blow, both literally and metaphorically. And, oh, another one. And I want to get out. The other thing I'll note is that this corridor is extremely long. This corridor feeds people. Remember, the whole center of this is Vancouver, which apparently I believe Hell's Gate has been opened actually. But this corridor is to bring people or allow safe passage to get into the Fraser Valley to then get to Vancouver. This thing is now like 7 to 8 hours driving distance long. You know, Canada's a big country for sure, but the Germans never had corridors 8 hours long to drive through. This just seems to me like, oh, here's another one. This just seems to me almost bordering on, not paranoid, but just kind of, there seems to be a real hyper tension about the safety of Vancouver and these city states, because these transit corridors to get into them, from what I've seen, are gigantically long. I have never seen any in history that are this long. Possibly it's because Canada is so big. I don't know how much truth that weighs into this. All I know is these corridors are gigantically long. They take days and days and days to get through, and the chances of you getting through are minimal because the amount of distance you have to travel and try to travel that without raising any suspicion or any attention, and to have enough money to feed yourself and live. It's just, I'm glad I'm getting out. I think if I had not started getting out, I would have been even more screwed than I've ever been before, because these places are not going to be friendly in any way. And I frankly think that they're just death camps. They're not internment camps. They're just places that people are waiting before they're murdered. I just need to get the hell out of here fast because things are turning south very fast. Oh, here's another one. Oh, two of them. Great. We'll close with this. Here we go. And one more. Oh, this is a car. I thought there was another one. Oh, yeah, there is actually behind the white truck there. Oh, there we go. There's another one. Oh, I guess they're stopping it because they know I've got the camera on now. They have a habit of doing that now. Yeah. Okay, so he was supposed to be coming here, but he decided to take a break.